Hello and welcome again. Today we're going to discuss another important issue, one that affects most people, and that is stress. Anyone who has ever worried over an exam, a deadline at work, or financial problems knows what stress feels like. When you are stressed, your body pumps you with chemicals to give you the energy in order to take actions. On a daily basis, we're exposed to internal and external stressors or stimuli that will cause the body to respond in a variety of ways. The brain is processing the stressful informations and, depending on the level of threat, will generate a response. The amygdala oversees the appropriate reaction to fear, arousal, and emotional events. The amygdala transmits a stress signal to the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus then activates the sympathetic nervous system, or the gas pedal, and the adrenal gland releases a surge of adrenaline. Adrenaline is also known as the fight or flight hormone. It is released in response to a stressful, exciting, dangerous, or a threatening situation. Adrenaline helps your body react more quickly. It makes the heart beat faster. It increases the blood flow to the brain, to the heart, and to the muscles, and stimulates the body to make sugar or glucose to use for fuel. Cortisol is then released as the body will continue to perceive the stimuli or the events as a threat, and this will allow the body to remain on high alert. Cortisol has a catabolic action, meaning that it starts to mobilize glucose, free fatty acids, and amino acids from the stores to offer energy to the body in the short term. When the threat passes, cortisol levels fall. The parasympathetic nervous system, or the brake pedal, then dampens the stress response. As we will see shortly, not all stress is bad. As it turns out, stress can be a good thing, helping our body and brains stay sharp and alert and preparing us to react to any surprises life throws in our way. The first type of stress we have is acute stress or short-term stress, and this is a healthy response to hardship and is one of the body's adaptive responses. The body's homeostasis in general is maintained by adaptive responses. Now, acute stress can be defined as the thrill of a roller coaster ride, a scary movie, the excitement of a first date, the first day at the new job, or other thrilling activities. Acute stress is a type of stress that is really beneficial to our well-being. Without the good stress, we will lose the drive to achieve our goals and find meanings in our lives. Now imagine a life where you don't strive to reach your goals, overcome your problems, or even have a purpose to get up in the morning. It would be a boring and depressing life. That's why acute stress is seen as good stress. It keeps us in good health and makes us joyful. Acute stress can help you remember things better. Stress chemicals like cortisol in small amounts can help you focus and improve your short-term memory. Acute stress can help you perform better and stay motivated. In small amounts, cortisol increases the plasticity of the brain, or the ability the brain has to develop new connections between the neurons. And adrenaline boosts your attention and your cognitive abilities. To understand better how the stress works, we're going to look at the graph in the slide. On the horizontal line, we see the pressure that goes from low to high, and on the vertical line, we see the performance that again goes from low to high. In the first section, or the bore out section, we have low pressure but low performance as well. You are not challenged, you are bored, you are not motivated. Imagine playing tennis with your 5-year-old son or daughter. It can be a little fun initially, but you will lose your enthusiasm shortly, and you can't carry on doing this activity for too long. In the comfort zone, we have a low to moderate pressure, but we are in our comfort zone in terms of performance. It's enough to motivate you for a while and get things done. It's not too challenging and you can stay in this zone comfortably for a while, but you will eventually get bored. Imagine playing tennis with somebody that is not as good as you. There isn't the risk of you losing to this person, but it keeps you engaged for a while. Next, we have the stretch area. Basically, you take yourself out of your comfort zone and you stretch. This is the area where you can grow. Pressure and performance are at an optimal level. You are excited and fully engaged. Imagine playing tennis with somebody that is just as good as you. You both have the same chances of winning. You are both fully engaged and motivated to get the upper hand on the other person. This is how you grow both on a personal and on a professional level. The task is matched with your abilities. In the strain zone, the pressure is too high and your performance decreases. In this zone, the fatigue starts to set in. Your level of attention and concentration is suffering. You are frustrated and you begin to make errors. Imagine playing tennis with somebody that is much better than you. It makes you run around that tennis court like crazy. You can't seem to give a good shot and you have no chance of winning. You are in over your head. You are overwhelmed. In the burnout zone, the stress hormones are high. Adrenaline and cortisol are running the show. The pressure is too high to the point of being debilitating and your performance is bottom low. You can no longer concentrate, your memory is affected, your breathing and heart rate are high and you feel unsettled. Imagine playing tennis with Novak Djokovic. Unless you're a professional tennis player, you stand no chance. You lack motivation before you even start playing. Now, I will point out the obvious here, but when it comes to stress, you want to stay in your stretch zone or the comfort zone. This type of stress won't produce any negative effects on your body. It will help you grow and even boost your confidence. It can give you a sense of pride because even though you are giving your best, you are still accomplishing what you set yourself up to do. When stress is persistent and not managed well, can have devastating effects in your body. The same hormones that are needed for the fight or flight response can cause digestive problems, insomnia, weight gain, problems with your reproductive system, and a weakened immune system, making a person more vulnerable to infections and chronic illnesses. Chronic stress has a harmful effect on the brain. Our memory and learning is affected. Memory and cortisol have an inverse connection. This means that the higher the level of cortisol in the body, the more your memory is harmed. Chronic stress has also a negative effect on your cognition as well. Things like your attention, decision making, and judgment are affected during stress. Stress is also linked with gastrointestinal disorders such as irritable bowel syndrome. The gut-brain axis connects the central nervous system to the gastrointestinal tract and they communicate all the time. So stress that affects the brain will also affect the GI tract, causing bacterial imbalance, gut malfunctioning, low-grade inflammation, and tissue damage. Chronic stress has been linked to an increased risk of cardiovascular disease, heart attacks, and strokes. Adrenaline and other stress hormones contribute to hypertension, which is a risk factor for cardiovascular disease. The stress is also linked to atherosclerosis, or the hardening of your blood vessels, which is thought to be caused by an increase in inflammation that persists. Chronic stress weakens the immune system. It reduces the quantity of white blood cells and inhibits their function over time. This will result in a decrease in wound healing, a drop in infection and cancer resistance, and a rise in inflammation and autoimmune illnesses, including lupus and rheumatoid arthritis. An excess of cortisol can lead your body to produce less testosterone. This may cause a decrease in muscle mass as well as slow down how many calories your body burns. but it will also affect your sexual life, and this is especially important for men. Now let's see how stress affects weight. Cortisol stimulates your fat and carbohydrates metabolism and is creating a surge of energy in the body. While this process is essential for survival situations, this unfortunately contributes to a buildup of fat tissue and to weight gain. Cortisol increases your appetite and it stimulates hunger because the body has used many resources to keep you focused and alert on what he had perceived as a threat. So the people will want to eat more to obtain extra energy. Cortisol also increases the storage of unused nutrients as fat and can cause cravings for sweet, fatty, and salty foods. This means that you are more likely to indulge in fries and a milkshake than you are in a well-balanced diet. Blood levels of cortisol vary throughout the day, but generally are higher in the morning when we wake up, and this is to allow us to be alert and to focus our attention on our daily activities. And then they will fall throughout the day. But in response to stress, extra cortisol is released to help the body to respond appropriately. From an evolutionary point of view, we were designed for acute stress, not for chronic stress. Acute stress back in the days meant seeing a lion, and if you managed to get away from the lion, well, happy days, you learned something that day. If the lion caught you, well, you didn't have to worry anymore. But in our days, we rarely have this type of dangerous situations. We ourselves, we are causing the perceived dangers because we overthink, we overanalyze, and we dwell on the problems more than actually solving the problems. Because stress is such an important aspect of our busy lives, let's see what we can do about it. The first strategy we can use is physical activity. Exercise reduces levels of both cortisol and adrenaline in the body. It also releases endorphins, which have beneficial effects on mood and stress levels. Now think for a second. When your brain perceived something as a threat, it releases adrenaline and cortisol to prepare you to face the danger either by fighting or fleeing. As we discussed in previous chapters, the brain can't always distinguish between actual physical dangers and emotional reactions. But by doing some sort of physical activity, you can trick the brain into thinking that you're actually doing something about the threat, or in this case, fleeing. The brain again won't be able to distinguish if you're running from a lion or you're running because you like it. Physical activity will help you dissipate that chemical energy you've accumulated during the day by completing the fight or flight cycle. The second strategy we can use is sleep. A lack of sleep will cause the level of stress hormones in the body to rise, and also chronic sleep deprivation can place people at risk for developing mental health conditions like depression and anxiety. You see, during sleep, the cortisol is no longer produced by the body because the parasympathetic system is active. So aim to get 7 to 9 hours of restful, high-quality sleep per night. During periods of stress, it's very important to keep an eye on our diets as well. During stress, the body is using many resources and this will deplete the nutrients. But for the body to work properly, you need to replenish these nutrients. And when we are stressed, we have the tendency to either skip meals or to choose unhealthy foods, which are higher in fat and sugar, like comfort foods. But by choosing to eat nutritious, whole foods, you will replenish the nutrients and you will prevent the storage of empty calories into fat. Even though your body might be craving a quick fix, aim to eat mostly whole plant-based foods. Of course, making the decision to eat right isn't always easy, especially when we are stressed, but it is worth it. By keeping an eye on your diet, the calories you consume will be turned into energy and not converted into fat. Another strategy we can use to tackle stress is having social support. Now, social support is associated with positive outcomes when it comes to both mental and physical health. Your social network can act as a buffer against stress by helping you discuss and cope with the daily stressors or problems, and by giving you a sense of warmth and relaxation. Cortisol and oxytocin have a mutually exclusive relation. When we get a dose of oxytocin, the cortisol level starts to decrease. So try to connect and spend quality time with those in your social network. Another strategy is to concentrate on the things that are in your control. Some of the daily stressors can be overwhelming, and many things that will cause stress are unfortunately out of our control. So try to concentrate on the things that are in your control instead. One good example here is COVID-19. Watching the news where COVID makes all the headlines can create a sense of fear and anxiety, especially if you suffer from other comorbidities. But by concentrating on the things that are in your control, you can bring back a sense of safety. You can choose which environments you go to. You can take the necessary precautions like getting your vaccines, wearing face masks, hand washing, keeping your distance, choosing which people you meet, and so on. Concentrate on how to better prepare your body to fight the infection if it comes to that, through a healthy diet, through exercise and sleep, rather than concentrating on the things that are out of your control. Another strategy to reduce stress is distraction. When you feel stress, it is very important to detach yourself from the thing that is making you feel stressed, if the situation allows, of course. Distraction is anything you do temporarily to take your attention away from a strong emotion. Now, focusing on a strong emotion can make it feel even stronger and more out of control. But by temporarily distracting yourself, you may give the emotion some time to decrease in intensity, making it easier to manage. You can try to go for a walk in nature, you can go shopping, you can call a friend or a family member, watch a funny movie, read a book, do puzzles, crosswords or Sudoku, something that requires some level of attention. You see, humans have the capacity of shifting the attention from one thing to another. Our attention is, however, very limited. We can effectively focus our attention only on one thing or action at any one time. I'm sorry to break it to you, but multitasking is a myth. People who believe they are able to multitask, they just quickly shift their attention between two or more actions. If you don't believe me, watch the show Mind Games on National Geographic. When you choose to dwell on the problems, you have less electricity in the brain to fire other pathways that could provide much needed distraction. By choosing not to focus your attention on something fun, for example, electricity in the brain will flow on the path of least resistance. In this case means dwelling on the problems, and this will increase your stress even more. Next strategy is an easy one, listening to music. From reducing stress hormones to stimulating feelings of happiness, music can almost instantly translate to a good mood. But you need to listen music for how you want to feel. Don't listen music for how you feel. If you're sad, you're more inclined to listen to sad music. Next time you're about to do that, choose lively music that will perk you up instead. And you can thank me later for that. And the last strategy we can use are relaxation techniques. Now, these techniques activate the parasympathetic system or the brake, and they help to dampen the stress response. The first relaxation technique we can use are breathing exercises. Taking long, slow, deep breaths with focus. Breathe in through your nose for 4 seconds. Hold the breath for 4 seconds and then exhale through the mouth for 8 seconds. Now, before you dismiss this thing as being a mambo jumbo thing, please try this next time when you feel stressed, anxious, or angry. Do this at least 10 times. This is by far the easiest thing you can do to help manage the stress, and everybody can do it. It works because long exhales activate the parasympathetic system, or the brake pedal, and stress is the gas pedal. Another relaxation technique is meditation. Yes, you've heard me right. Meditation is not just for hipsters. Meditation is a mental exercise that involves concentration, observation, and awareness to calm the mind. There are different types of meditation like visualization, reflection, and focusing your attention on breathing. Now, focusing your attention on breathing is the easiest method by far, which everybody can do it. You just take a comfortable position, close your eyes, and concentrate your attention on your breathing. Take deep breaths through your nose and exhale through your mouth. Whenever your mind starts to wander off, and it will, just bring your focus on your breathing again. It takes a bit of practice, but over time you will get better at it. Start with a few minutes each day and then work your way up. Other relaxation techniques include mindfulness, or focusing your thoughts on the present moment, and yoga. This concludes our lesson for today. I hope you found this information to be helpful. Until next time.